Open session.
in open session, what, in 15 minutes or right away or
Yeah, 15 minutes.
15 minutes? We'll reconvene in open session at 12:15.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you then.
So it's Albina.
John,
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Yeah, or I'll buy.
Not really.
926.
We don't have like
Close.
Got a Vikings surfboard.
We're off mute.
Yeah.
Does look like a.
It is a Viking surfboard.
Yeah, Minnesota Vikings.
All right, we have Commissioner Hollister, Commissioner Fiscum, Dan Mason, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Let's see, Commissioner McCauley and Commissioner Payne. Can you hear us?
17.
Commissioner Payne, are you there? Yep, she's there. All right. Well, we got everybody except for Commissioner Burke, but that's okay. So we will continue to proceed then. We are now in open public session. We've just finished our executive session. And we are going to jump ahead to agenda item number 16 on our agenda regarding Shannon Adair, former city councilor. And with that said, we will have investigator Marietta provide a report of her investigation. Are you prepared?
Yeah, I am. Did
Okay.
you want to?
Yes, and I should say that we also have Miss Adair on Teams here. Can you hear us okay? Miss
I
Adair?
can. Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for being here today. And your attorney is Andrea. How do we say your last name?
It's Coit.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. We can hear you just fine.
Great.
So thank you for being here. That now's the opportunity to have this matter heard. Procedurally, what we'll do is we'll have investigator Marietta report on her investigation. We may have questions for her. We will then give you an opportunity to respond. I'm assuming, Ms. Coit, you'll be responding on behalf of Ms. Adair. If I'm incorrect, let me know. And then we'll proceed to that point. Okay? Thank you. Investigator Marietta.
Great, thank you, Chair, Commissioners. This is Investigator Hillary Marietta. Agenda item 16 in your books is an investigation report for Shannon Adair, a former city councilor for the city of John Day. On July 12, 2022, Robert Pereira submitted a complaint alleging that Shannon Adair used her official position to purchase city-owned land to benefit her business, 1188 Brewing, and failed to publicly announce an actual conflict of interest at the December 14, 2021 and May 10, 2022 council meetings, when the council discussed her purchase of the land. During the December 14th council meeting, Ms. Adair submitted her letter of intent to the John Day City Council to purchase property owned by the city. Ms. Adair stated that she would answer questions as a business person and did not publicly announce the nature of her conflict of interest, but abstained from voting. During the May 10th council meeting, the city council moved to discuss finalizing Ms. Adair's purchase of the city-owned property. She stated that she would recuse herself from voting, but the council could ask her questions as a business person. Ms. Adair did not publicly announce the nature of her actual conflict of interest and remained seated with the other city councilors with her name plate in front of her. While she claimed she was speaking as a business person and not a councilor, no other business person would have the opportunity to present their case for sale while seated as a councilor at the city council table with their nameplate in front of them. Ms. Coy argues that no public conflict announcement was required because Ms. Adair's conflict of interest was obvious because the letter of intent was on the agenda and because everyone understood the nature of her conflict of interest. The requirement to publicly announce the nature of one's conflict of interest is a statutory obligation for the public official. Further, these facts are similar to past cases that have been in front of the commission where respondents sustained violations. Additionally, information in the investigation demonstrates that Ms. Adair used her official position in violation of ORS 244.040 sub 1 to purchase land owned by the city. It is alleged that Ms. Adair used her position on the council and the contacts and information she had available to her as a councilor to submit a letter of intent to purchase the city-owned property before that property's availability for sale is publicly advertised or announced. Furthermore, that Ms. Adair had previously looked at this particular property and had long expressed interest in expanding her business is not an issue in contention. The issue is that the members of City Council were apparently told when the Pride deal fell apart, and the property became available for sale once again. We could find no record in the City Council minutes or Facebook page that the City Council made any such notification to the public. When Ms. Adair was asked how she became aware of the property being up for sale, she responded, "Everyone knew." However, it appears that everyone did not know. Multiple councilors voiced their opinions that the public was unaware that this property was available for sale again. And I do want to add, during the preliminary review period report, we did not end up moving forward with the 040 sub 4 use of confidential information because of the lack of information at that time. The recommendation in your books is that the commission should make preliminary findings that Shannon Adair engaged in a prohibited use of office and failed to publicly announce her conflicts of interest in order that the case be moved to a contested case proceeding or that a negotiated settlement be entered.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions that you might have for Investigator Marietta? Seeing none, we'll turn now to Ms. Coit. Ms. Coit, it's your opportunity to respond now, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you for letting us have this opportunity to speak. I'm Andrea Coit. I've been in front of most of you before, and I'm pleased to be here again today with my client, Shannon Adair. I have submitted a comprehensive document in the course of the investigation that I hope is included in your materials. I won't go through all that again, but it lays out in detail the evidence that's in the record and the law as it applies to this case, and showing that there is neither support for the first allegation that Ms. Adair did not disclose adequately the conflict of interest on both occasions that the issue came before the council. And then the second item, that she used her position on the council to obtain an advantage. So I'm not going to go through that again. I am more than happy to answer any questions. What Shannon Adair is going to do now is talk to you about the second allegation, that she used her position to obtain information not available to others to gain a financial advantage. She's going to share some information that is necessary, I believe, that wasn't quite captured by Ms. Marietta, to explain just how this came about, the land sales going on in the city of John Day, her knowledge of them, the public's knowledge of them, and the ultimate piece of property that she purchased. So with that, I will turn this over to my client, Shannon Adair. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shannon Adair, and I was on City Council during the time that we were going through all of this property development. It's my understanding that there are some exhibits that you'll be able to see, and I'll go through them very briefly. I do want to apologize to the investigator, Ms. Marietta, because I don't think I quite understood where the bigger picture of what she was asking until I read the investigation report. So I would like to look at the John Day Integrated Park System first. I didn't get on council till 2017, and that's when this whole program was started. In red is the entire area that the city was looking at for the Innovation Gateway. It was in 2000, and then the highlighted area in yellow is what the Pridays were looking at for their hotel. The highlighted area in pink is the actual property that our business purchased. So we did not purchase the 1.7 acres that the Pridays were looking at. We purchased a different piece of property. Pridays backing out we were looking at property for a brewery for manufacturing. The Pridays backing out of their property just made us think that we could actually do something a little bit different, not that we were going to purchase that piece of property. So that piece of property that the Pridays were going to purchase in yellow, and then multiple properties all up and down the river were available and are still available today for sale. They have not been purchased. They have not been looked at. There was interest in some of that in 2021 and 2022. I don't know what kind of interest has been shown in 2023 because I don't have access to that. If you go to the Exhibit 2 for the 2019 Innovation Gateway Area Plan, it's a really long draw. This was a professional document that was promoted and distributed. And if you go to the second page of acknowledgements, it shows a project advisory committee and a technical advisory committee that was full of all different kinds of people from our community that were involved in the process of putting the Innovation Gateway together. So when I say that everybody knew about it, I would say every everyone that could have potentially been involved in a business development knew about the Innovation Gateway and what that involved. And there's realtors on there, there are business owners, you can see kind of the wide range of people that were involved. We were having community meetings clear back in 2017 about this project. That's how I got involved in city council. I was asked to be on an advisory council. And then in 2017 was appointed to the city council. So it was well known in the community that this is what was happening in that area. If you jump to 2020, there's an additional document for the recreation economy for rural communities. And if you go all the way down into like page 54, this is a really long document. It has the maps. It talks about the case studies, but the workshop participants. So there were multiple community workshops where this area was discussed and the business opportunities were discussed. And then it also lists the particular stakeholders and then community participants in that plan in 2020. So there was extensive community involvement in the Innovation Gateway and understanding that there was business opportunity there. That's how the Pride Days reached out to John Day. That's how we had a greenhouse, hydroponic greenhouse in the area that a business owner was looking at, that was actually discussed in the same meeting, the May 2022 meeting right before my property, where it was approved for them to lease with the option to buy the greenhouse that was in the same area. That whole area is like 53 acres, with 20 to 25 acres cut out for business development. We purchased 2.8 acres of that. And all of that property is still available along the river, not in a floodplain. So then if you go to I just included the letter of intent from the Pride Days because it does show the 1.7 acres on the south side of the river is what they were actually looking at. I did highlight that so that you don't have to look at all of the details. There was an agreement that they could purchase an unspecified one additional acre if they needed to, if they wanted to, but it wasn't necessarily, or it could have been anywhere surrounding that 1.7 acres that they had put the letter of intent out on. As far as the statement made by Heather Rookstool, who was a counselor at the time, that 5 to 7 people had approached her that were not happy with the way it was sold or that may have had an interest in that property. There was never 5 to 7 people that came to any of those meetings in December or May that expressed that they would have liked to have had an opportunity to buy that property. There was an email submitted by Brian Hubbard and Allie Lenz late spring of this year that stated that if they would have known about the property, they would have had an interest in it. I would suggest that's I'm not sure how that can be accurate because he is a business owner. They own the 2 restaurants and bars right next to mine in the city of John Day. He was involved and paid attention to what was happening in city council. He tried to get on city council in March of 2022 and again in 2023. We talked often in the back parking lot. We would get to work at the same time and we would talk about everything that was going on with that area. So I'm not sure why he sent that email in late spring, but he definitely was aware of what was happening down there and what was available. And so that's really all I have to cover. I felt like this was going in a direction where it looked like the Pride Days had wanted a piece of property, backed out, and then I swooped in and bought it under everybody's nose without anybody knowing it. And that isn't even close to what actually happened. So that's what I have to offer. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your diligence and thoughtfulness in response. Commissioners, are there any questions for Ms. Coit or Ms. Adair? I had a follow-up question for Ms. Marietta. I understand these documents that were just shown to us. I'm assuming you had access to them and everything, and
Mhm.
and that does not change the recommendation.
So, yeah, so one of them I actually was originally going to put as an exhibit. I think it was the plan for the gateway area. So I have seen that. And I mean, this is an extensive case, and I actually don't think I've had any case where I do feel like there's a lot of emails between Ms. Adair and myself, and also her previous attorney going back and forth. I feel like I explained what our approach was and what we were looking for, and so the part about this land and the Predays land being separate, that was never conveyed to me before. I feel like I explained appropriately what our approach was going to be. I have a lot of emails about that. So it's not verified information. Not saying that it's not true. It doesn't really change anything for me at this point.
Additional hand up. Yeah, Vice Chair Fiscom, you have a question. You're on mute, Dave. Oh. There you go.
Pardon me, Mr. Chair. I apologize. I didn't know somebody put me on mute. They don't want to hear what I have to say. I apologize.
Yep.
This is a question for our investigator, Ms. Murrieta. Pardon me for this. I'm referring to your final recommendation to us to go ahead and make findings, et cetera. One violation of ORS 244.040 sub 1. I don't have my statute books in front of me today. Remind me what that statute is.
That's
that-
the use of office statute. The prohibited use of office. Using
244.040 sub 1 is the use of office statute.
correct.
Okay, and 244.120 sub 2 is,
That's the conflict of interest.
that's what I thought. Okay. And so from the standpoint of your report, those are the only two statutes that underlie your recommendation to us. Is that right? There's no other statute involved?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner Hollister, you're thinking something there. There you go.
Yeah, I guess I'll ask a question. I mean, with respect to the use of Office 244.040 sub 1, I understand that I'm trying to sort of separate out what's left, right? What's left of this case. If we assume that we're not going to proceed based on use of office, just based on the fact that she had access to information. Could staff explain to me sort of what is left if we take that out of the equation?
I guess I don't understand the question. So just the conflicts of interest are left.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I know.
So I think I see what you're saying. You can move forward with, if you wanted to, finding preliminary violations with the conflict of interest and not with the 040, and you wouldn't have to make a separate motion to dismiss that. It just wouldn't be a part of the preliminary. Preliminary finding violation.
Does
that make sense?
That's all I was wondering, is sort of appreciate.
Okay.
Right. Any other questions from the commissioners or comments on this? I see a lot of furrowed brows on this one, but it's time to make a decision. And did I see that you wanted to say something, Ron?
Well, I will tell you why I signed off on this, and it really comes down to the interview with the city manager. And the city manager explains that people can contact City Hall if they're interested in the land. They can find out if the property for sale by word of mouth, or the city will post available property on Facebook. However, we didn't find anything on Facebook either. So, it seems like to me the only people that knew this land is actually is in this case, a city councilor, or maybe people that are on those groups that they showed. But the general public, would have to know that I guess they have a couple hundred acres for sale. And I guess all you gotta do is drive to John Day and walk into City Hall and say, show me these. I'm saying the normal person, I don't think would know that. And that's why I believe there was a use of office.
Right.
May I respond to that?
Yeah, in fact, I was wanting to ask you or Ms. Adair to respond to that. So Ms. Coita, would you do that, please?
Yes, so to find that there's been a violation of the use of office statute, it has to be shown that but for her position on the city council, she would not have obtained this benefit. And the benefit here, as it's been alleged, is her knowledge that this property is for sale. We have submitted evidence that's in the record that she knew about these properties being for sale before she became on city council. She explained to you that that is how she ended up being placed on city council, because she was asked to join one of these subcommittees as a community member and was then appointed to the council. So she had this knowledge. All of the people in that area who were potentially able to use this property, which is a business development park, the realtors, the businesses, they're all represented in these groups that were working on this gateway development project way back in 2017. So perhaps not every member of the public was contacted directly, or it wasn't put on something that everyone would have access to. But those who would have the ability to either purchase it or to let the people who may be interested in the property know about it, we're aware of it through these committees and this extensive project that went into this development. But the critical thing, I think, here, and if, it really is, it's a statutory violation that has to be shown, is that but for her position on city council, she would not have had this information. And it's proven that she did. And I think Ms. Marietta, despite that, went forward with finding a violation based on her understanding that it was the Pridays piece of property that Ms. Adair ultimately purchased. So you'll see in her report, she reasons that when the Pridays withdrew their letter of intent, then Ms. Adair went in and bought that property, and she wouldn't have known about it, although it was at a public meeting, but she wouldn't have known about it possibly had she not been on city council. But she didn't buy that piece of property. So the Pridays letter of intent being revoked has no bearing on the statutory violation being alleged here.
Thank you. Commissioner Payne.
I just want to ask a question, because I heard testimony today that she made a decision to put an offer on the alternative property due to the fact that the Pridays withdrew their offer on the property, and that informed her decision to make an offer on the other property. And so it seems that she still obtained information through her position on city council that she may not have otherwise obtained, that informed her decision. So can you explain that to me?
Yes, I could explain that piece. I probably didn't state that clear. We were looking for property for the brewery for a manufacturing piece of property. So we had been looking at, we were keeping in mind everything that was happening with that Innovation Gateway the entire time. The only thing that changed when the Pridays pulled out was that we could potentially add in, because they were going to have a hotel, that we could add that into our business plan. So that didn't have any, we would have purchased a piece of property, whether at some point somewhere, whether they pulled out of that their piece of property, that didn't matter. The only thing that changed was what our business plan looked like and what we would build on the property we wanted to buy. Did that
Thank you.
help?
Commissioner Payne.
It just still seems like that gave you some sort of advantage in your business plan by having that information that other members of the public didn't have.
It only changed my business plan, not that I would buy property.
I
It only
think
changed.
if I can add, I think I see the disconnect. When she's saying it changed her business plan, they were purchasing the property to build a brewery, and that went forward. That had nothing to do with the Pride Days. Now, when the Pride Days decided not to build a hotel in John Day, then Miss Adair, they started thinking about, well, maybe we'll also build cabins or some sort of recreational area that people can come to and stay. They didn't ultimately do that, but that's how it impacted her business plan. So hopefully that helps explain a little bit.
Thank you. Commissioner Newell.
Thank you. And just kind of looking over the Oregon Innovation Area, Gateway Area Plan, there's a lot of discussion about holding land in public trust and increasing access to the river through walkways. There's, from the brief look at this, if I was a person who was interested in purchasing this property, it doesn't appear that it's available for purchase just based on this easily accessible to the public information. It seems like you would really have to dig to know that that land is available for purchase. And it seems to be information that would be hard for the average person to understand outside of this very narrow group of people.
Can I respond to that?
Go ahead, Ms. Adair.
The whole point of the Innovation Gateway, that information was to market that property for that purpose, was to bring in economic development. There's economic development people involved in that. We have, Grant County is, well, first of all, John Day is only 1,600 people, and Grant County is massive in size, but only has 7,000 people in it. So when you include 30 to 50 people in a community advisory group, that's a lot for that size of a community. So people were aware, and the fact that we had people coming in from outside the area asking about how to develop on those properties indicates to me that it was widespread knowledge among people that would be interested in developing businesses in rural areas.
Commissioner Newell, did that?
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Holster.
You're on mute.
Unmute, Commissioner Holster.
Thanks, Dave.
In all your thinking as well, I know you always like the but-for analysis, so I hope you'll comment on that when you're commenting.
Sure. I mean, I guess what I'm struggling with is, my understanding is that a public official who acquires information as a result of being a public official and uses that information for financial gain doesn't violate the but-for provision. The fact that you have information you obtained as a public official, it doesn't somehow automatically, you're not automatically engaging in a but-for provision just because you use information you gained as a public official to obtain a financial benefit, right? And what we've talked about is that 24404 sub 4 prohibits a public official from using confidential information to obtain a personal gain. Right? I mean, so I guess, isn't that the conversation we're having now? Did Miss Adair obtain, did she somehow have knowledge that this property was for sale or that others didn't have? And if that's the only issue at play, then it doesn't seem that to me that implicates 24404 or sub 1.
Well, the
Maybe I turn
recommendation
to our
is sub.
council to comment on that, because I feel like everyone's giving me a blank look and I feel like I might be missing something.
Well, what's presented to us is the sub 1, sub 2, not sub 4 at this point.
Correct. So if
right.
we're only talking about sub 1, which is my understanding of what's been is included in our report, and the information is publicly known, then it seems to me that we don't have a basis to proceed under sub 1. It's not confidential, excuse me. It doesn't matter if it's confidential information, then we could have charged under sub 4. We're only talking about sub 1. So if the basis is just knowledge of information, or her having knowledge of this information, that couldn't be the basis of a but-for violation.
Thank you. Director Burson has a comment, and then we'll then.
Can I
Vice Chair
ask, Chair,
Fisker.
that I get council's feedback on that at some point, whatever order you wish?
Yeah, let's do that right now, and then we'll have
Okay.
Dave. Dave, go ahead.
Okay, so the elements that you are looking at right now are that Ms. Adair, was she a public official? What did she use or attempt to use her public position or office? The use of that position or office, did that allow her to obtain a financial gain or avoid a financial detriment for herself, her business, etc.? And then the financial gain or avoidance of financial detriment, would that otherwise not have been available to her except for the fact that she holds that position? And so those are the elements that you're talking about for this violation. If you are talking about a subsection 4 violation, that is a different violation that, as you pointed out, Commissioner Hollister, is a subsection 4 violation, and that prohibits using confidential information for a personal gain. That is not being alleged here. What's only being alleged is a subsection 1 violation.
Okay. Any before we go on to Vice Chair Fiscom, Commissioner Hollister, any additional thoughts or comments, or should we move on to Vice
Yeah,
Chair
I mean, I guess
Fiscom?
I'm just, that was really helpful, council. I mean, I guess what I'm left with is, unless there's something else to form the basis of a 244-040 sub 1 violation, the fact that Ms. Adair may have had information she acquired about this property, or the fact that it was for sale, it doesn't seem like that information alone could be a basis of a violation of 244-040 sub 1. If we wanted to have a conversation separately about whether or not it's an issue under sub 4, fine. But I guess I'm left, based on council's assessment and our conversation, it seems like sub 1 is not, we haven't met the elements here.
Thank you. Commissioner Fiscom.
And Commissioner Hollister, the only question I'm left with, and I don't feel comfortable having the answer yet, is did Ms. Adair have some information that resulted from her public service as opposed to something that was generally available? Was there the but-for in there? And it sounds like, from my judgment, it sounds like we're not sure. Some are sure of the answer, some aren't sure of the answer, but she sat in a position where she got access to information that she might not have had as a member of the public sitting outside of the city hall. And I'm not contending that, I'm just asking that question of you, Commissioner Hollister, or anybody else. I'm unsure at the moment.
Let's have council go first, and then Commissioner Hollister, and we'll go to that point.
If I could just clarify, so if the evidence that you're weighing today is the only but-for, as you will, that but-for had or not have that information, that is not a subsection 1 violation. It may be a subsection 4 violation, but that's not alleged here today. And so there's a separate process you'd have to go through to kind of restart and look at that issue. But under subsection 1, having information is not a violation of subsection 1. Having confidential information and using that would be a subsection 4 violation.
Thank you. Commissioner Hollister, anything addition to say to that?
No, I appreciate that clarification. And I guess my question for Investigator Murrieta is, is there something other than just the information that you think we would base this but-for violation on? Because I'm not, if so, I'm just not seeing it, and I need your help.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of one of those cases where I think that there was sufficient information to put this in front of you guys, and I have my recommended action. I would say that this is just ultimately your guys' decision in this. This is a case I wanted you guys to hear and be in front of you to determine, what you are all seeing.
Thank you. Well, we've cut a lot of hay here. It's time to bundle something. So I think it'd be good to make a decision at this point. Commissioner Hollister or any other commissioner, are you prepared to make a motion?
I'm happy to make a motion, Chair.
Any other commissioners prepared to make a motion? Otherwise, go ahead, Commissioner Hollister.
So just to do a preview of the motion, what I'm planning to do is to move to proceed on the conflict of interest. But my understanding is I don't have to say anything about dismissing the other pieces. And I see Executive Director shaking his head yes, so I'm going to assume that means I got something right for once.
Correct.
All right. I am going to move that the commission find that they're, I'm looking for my cheat sheet, staff, and I'm not finding it. Maybe someone with the cheat sheet should actually make the motion. Apologies.
Mr. Chair, anticipating Commissioner Hollister's intent to use motion number 10, the language in that, and limit it to the conflict of interest, I will do her bidding and hereby move that the commission find there is sufficient evidence that Shannon Adair may have violated ORS.
Hold on.
No. This is an investigation report, so you'd say the preliminary finding, the violating English language.
Give us just a second, Dave.
Yeah, please, let me know which motion we want.
And Ms. Coyle, I'll get to you in just a second.
Thank you.
Yes, this, yeah.
Yes,
So we've got-
and is that,
Number 10. There.
The motion that I was, and I'll pause from Ms. Coit at your with your indulgence, Mr. Chair, but where I was heading to help Commissioner Hollister was to utter the words of our motion number 10 and limit the construct of that motion to the conflict of interest statute, as opposed to both statutes that were recommended to us. That's where I'll head when you're ready, or Commissioner Hollister may be ready by the time that rolls around. Thank you.
Okay. While Commissioner Hollister's looking and Dave's looking, Ms. Coit, you had a comment.
I do, thank you. We haven't discussed this one, and I just want to make sure everyone is clear what is being alleged. It's not that she had a conflict of interest. That is completely acknowledged. It's that she didn't stand up and say the words, I am publicly declaring that I have a conflict of interest. The evidence in the record of what she did do was submit the letter of intent on behalf of her business of say, I am recusing myself from this discussion, but I will answer questions as a business owner and I will abstain from voting. I just wanted to make sure that everyone is on the same page of what the evidence is on that.
Yes, thank you. All right, Commissioner Hollister, can we provide that to you or?
Commissioner Hollister, I'll be happy to go in your stead if you would like. It's up to you.
Yeah, please do, Dave. I have my motion sheet up, but I think it's an older version and.
I understand.
Please go ahead.
Okay, colleagues, I hereby move that the commission find there is sufficient evidence that Shannon Adair has violated ORS 244.120 sub 2, and that the commission adopt the investigation report as its preliminary findings and order that this case be moved to a contested case proceeding, or that a negotiated settlement be entered. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's on sub 2. All right. Any comments, commissioners, on the motion that's before us?
Just a sincere thanks to Commissioner Fiscum for making that happen.
All right. Thank you. Seeing no additional comments, let's call for the vote.
Commissioner Mason,
Nay.
Commissioner Fiscum,
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Burke, Nay, thumbs down. Commissioner Thompson,
No.
Commissioner McCauley,
Nay.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Hollister,
Aye.
Commissioner Newell,
Aye.
Chair Lindsay,
Nay.
motion fails 4-5.
All right, commissioners, seeing no additional, are there any additional motions? Seeing none, the motion has failed, and Ms. Adair and Ms. Coit, we appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you listening to us.
Thank you. All right. Commissioners, we are now going to move to agenda item. Yeah. But before that, I see there's no lobbyist penalty correspondence. SCI penalty correspondence, so we'll move on to agenda item number 10. These are stipulated final orders that we have to vote on individually. And let's see, number 10 is they're mostly all by Investigator Marietta. Do you have a quick summary on that?
Yes.
Marietta?
Yeah. Sorry. All right, thank you, Chair, Commissioners. What numbers are this?
And the 14.
10 to 14 are stipulated final orders for commissioners for the Fairview Water District Board of Commissioners on September 19th, 2022, December 19th, 2022, February 27th, 2023, and March 27th, 2023. They held unauthorized executive sessions. During those meetings, the board did not separately notice the executive sessions or publicly announce the proper statutory citations. Therefore, they exceeded the scope permitted by ORS 193.660 Additionally, during several of those meetings, they discussed compensation and benefits and made final decisions. A couple of the respondents in this case, I don't know if you all recall during the commission meetings with the PRs, they expressed remorse about this and said that they just wanted to learn and do everything properly. So recommendations is for a letter of education.
Thank you. Any questions for Investigator Marietta? Seeing none, Vice Chair Fiskin will take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I hereby move that the commission approve the proposed stipulated final order as the final order in this matter, and that the chairperson be authorized to sign it as such.
Any comments on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Hollister,
Aye.
Commissioner Newell, Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiskum,
Aye.
Commissioner Burke. Thumbs up. Chair Lindsay,
Aye.
motion passes 9-0.
Agenda item number 11, any additional report? Same report?
Oh, yes, sorry, same report, yes.
And that's
Sorry.
for all through 15, through 14.
Correct, yeah, all the same report.
Thank you. Agenda item number 11.
Mr. Chair, I hereby move that the commission approve the proposed stipulated final order as the final order in this matter, and that the chairperson be authorized to sign it as such.
Seeing no comments, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Hollister,
Aye.
Commissioner Newell, Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiskum,
Aye.
Commissioner Burke. Thumbs up. Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Chair Lindsay,
Aye.
motion passes 9-0.
Agenda item number 12.
Mr. Chair, I hereby move that the commission approve the proposed stipulated final order as the final order in this matter, and that the chairperson be authorized to sign it as such.
Seeing no comments, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Hollister,
Aye.
Commissioner Newell, Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiskum,
Aye.
Commissioner Burke. Thumbs up. Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Chair Lindsay,
Aye.
motion passes 9-0.
Vice Chair.
Number 13, Mr. Chair, I hereby move that the commission approve the proposed stipulated final order as the final order in this matter, and that the chairperson be authorized to sign it as such.
Seeing no comments, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hollister,
Aye.
Commissioner Newell,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiscum,
Aye.
Commissioner Burke. Thumbs up. Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Chair Lindsay,
Aye.
motion passes 9-0.
Vice Chair.
Mr. Chair, item number 14, I hereby move that the commission approve the proposed stipulated final order as the final order in this matter, and that the chairperson be authorized to sign it as such.
Seeing no comments, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Newell,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiscum,
Aye.
Commissioner Burke. Thumbs up. Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Hollister,
Aye.
Chair Lindsay,
Aye.
motion passes 9-0.
We'll go on to agenda item number 15. And Investigator Walker will present on that.
Thank you, Chair Lindsay and Commissioners. Monica Walker, investigator for the commission. Item number 15 in your meeting books is a stipulated final order for Brian Thompson, Commissioner for the City of Port Orford Parks Commission. At its July 14th, 2023 meeting, the commission moved this matter to investigation to determine if Mr. Thompson had violated the use of office and conflict of interest provisions by attempting to use his official position to obtain a financial gain for a business with which he is associated, and that he may have done so without properly declaring a conflict of interest. As you may recall, in his capacity as the City of Port Orford Parks Commission Chair, Mr. Thompson introduced and actively participated in a discussion in regard to bids submitted for city maintenance work. This discussion included a bid he submitted for his own business, Thompson Tree Service LLC, a business in which Mr. Thompson is associated. Thus, his introduction of and involvement in the discussion violated the use of office and conflict of interest provisions. Mr. Thompson has agreed to the stipulated final order in lieu of completing the investigation. The order that is in your meeting books provides that Mr. Thompson will receive a letter of education in order to settle this matter. We are recommending that the commission approve the stipulated final order.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Mr. Chair, regarding item 15, I hereby move that the commission approve the proposed stipulated final order as the final order in this matter, and that the chairperson be authorized to sign it as such.
Thank you. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiscum,
Aye.
Commissioner Burke. Thumbs up. Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Hollister,
Aye.
Commissioner Newell,
Aye.
Chair Lindsay,
Aye.
motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. We're clicking along here. We're now on to agenda items 17, 18, which is just staff advice. Is that you? Just. That's all it is. It's advice.
It's there for your information only. If you have any comments, you're welcome to make those, but we just provide everything that goes out underneath my signature.
Okay. And trainer's report.
Well, we gotta do 18A first. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm okay.
Another vote.
Okay.
You wanna go take care of this?
Yes, thank you. The Oregon School Board Association had requested a commission advisory opinion. It will deal with a request for a class determination and application of the class exception to school board members who vote on budgets and on approving stipends, which are now permitted under Oregon law. We have a draft of the opinion ready to go to DOJ for their review.
The 60 days does not end until, I believe, January 16th. We didn't get it done in time to make this meeting book, so we need an extension. The commission's authorized to grant one extension of up to 60 days. However, as I said, it's drafted, ready to go to DOJ. So it should be available and brought to you at the February 9th meeting.
So is the requested motion an extension through February 9 or 60 days or?
The statute authorizes you to extend the period for 60 days.
Okay,
But
so
For 60 days.
Yeah.
okay, for 60 days. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move that we grant the extension of 60 days for the commission's advisory report now pending and heading to the Department of Justice.
Any comments by commissioners? Seeing none, we'll call a vote.
Commissioner Fiscom,
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, thumbs up. Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Hollister,
Aye.
Commissioner Newell,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Chair Lindsay,
Aye.
motion passes 9-0.
All right. We're good on that. Now we can go to 19.
Thank you, Chair. And Commissioners, Stephanie Hector, the Curriculum and Training Coordinator. You will find a lot of information from the trainers in your meeting books this meeting, including some data that we'll look at very briefly about last year. I'll go over highlights. There's also some additional handouts that we've created, specifically the Associated Business Flow Chart and the updated executive sessions list that our trainer Lex did a wonderful job on working on those. And you'll also find the newsletter that we issued in after the last commission meeting, and a list of all of the trainings that we did since the last commission meeting. Of those trainings, I want to highlight, we did an all staff training for the Department of Justice. They required all staff to be there. So our wonderful attorneys, Mr. Brady and Mr. Gilbert, were there. They told us to expect anywhere from 100 to 200, and they were recording it, and they expected everybody else to watch the recording. 875 people showed up.
Wow.
So it was.
That's a lot of work.
That'd be so
So
Detectives were also.
a little technological bumps, but overall it went really well, and the feedback has been really great. We had over, both Susan and myself presented it. And again, they're requiring everyone to, if they weren't able to view it live, to watch the recording before the end of February. Another highlight that we had happen was we met one of the governor's 2023 agency expectations. So we created a new employee orientation that is now available in Workday for all OGEC staff. And it has been approved. So we got confirmation right before the new year. So that's awesome. And that was a lot of collaborative work across the whole agency to get that to put together. So, and a great use of some new software that we have that we're excited to continue to work with. In terms of the newsletter, we're going to have another newsletter come out. February, March will be the winter newsletter. And we are revamping our statement of economic interest trainings for both filers as well as jurisdictional contacts with the new filing requirements that came out of the last legislative session. So we're currently working on that. And we are working on some of the logistical pieces of the public meetings law training. So we need to have a conversation with council before we can give you a better update on that. I do apologize. In terms of overall trends for 2023,
Normally, I give a 5-year snapshot. We included the 6th just because of COVID. I think it helps to have that extra year in there just to see what trends are. We pulled these numbers on the 21st of December because that's when we had to have the meeting book together. So we anticipate our numbers are actually slightly higher in terms of the online trainings. But what we see overall is a dramatic increase in demand for training across all groups. So education, state, cities, et cetera. So we are seeing across the board more demand for all groups. We're seeing a large increase in workday trainings. This is in part because the state requires the OGEC training to be taken by all new employees now of the state. So we saw a really big number there. And this is the biggest year yet in total persons trained. We expect to continue to grow in 2024 with the addition of the new trainers, as well as the addition of the new jurisdiction. So you can see that we had 148 live trainings last year. We trained 7,768 public officials last year. So we trained just over 3,215 in person. So it's a lot of people. That being said, we're not just about growth. We want to make sure that we are emphasizing quality. And so moving forward, one of our goals, we have key performance measures that we have to make for the legislature, but we're also going to be looking internally about how we're going to measure success and ensure that the trainings that we're providing meet the quality standards that we expect and make sure that we're meeting those. So we'll be sharing those over the next year, 2 years as those get developed with you all. So that's kind of where we're at as we move forward.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Now we move on to something incredibly important, so grave and so important that we need to talk about it here in open public session. This is likely Ron Burson's, his eyeballs were huge. What is this? As big as some of those animals before you took them home. Eyes wide open. This is likely Director Burson's final meeting with us, and we want to thank him for that. And actually, we have a little something for you.
Uh-oh.
And we'll get Becky to get that out.
Super secure spot.
We have a little plaque. I think
Nice.
it says that Ron Burson has given service since 1937. That's beautiful. 2024. If you could hold that up so folks can see it on the camera as well. And that said, as part of your director's report, let's give him a round of applause. Yeah. So as part of that, we'd like to have a couple words from you as part of your likely final executive director's report.
I can do that.
Who's your favorite commissioner?
Let's go ahead with the boring stuff. So I don't know how much you guys pay attention to the numbers that I give you in these reports, but if you look at last meeting compared to this meeting, our surplus went way down. So it isn't that I just spent a lot of money.
That plaque is expensive.
Yeah. We really got to get together with DAS and our accountant and try to kind of shore up some of these projections that we have out there, trying to get them really more realistic numbers. And so I think we've done that. Now, having said that, the one number that we haven't been able to get to yet is this remodel. The legislature gave us about $400,000 to do that. I don't believe it's going to take that amount of money. And so that money will go back into the surplus that we have. But even now, we still have $74,000 in surplus at this part. This is through November. And, you're still talking about probably 12-13% of the budget. So it's not alarming. But if you looked at the one I had last, I think it was $400,000 that was left around. And so it isn't that I just went out and bought a Ferrari or something like that for my going away present. No, I didn't do that. So the other thing too is that in those projections, I did not lower the amount for my cost because at the time that we were doing the projections, you folks have people that are asking for this job that may cost as much as I do as an employee. So I want to make sure that, there's, you can still afford, that's not going to have to be a factor for you folks. So that's why we haven't done that. Now, after the hiring, we can get down to exactly what these folks make, and then we can shore that up a bit too. And then there's one other place where there's a little bit of extra. I have a thing in here where we did hire the new administrative specialist too. If you look in the projections, if you kind of drill down into them, we had them starting towards the middle of December and January. They won't be starting until January 8th. So there should be another month worth of savings there for salaries too. So it's not as grim as it looks, but even at $74,000, it's still, like I said, you're probably looking at 12% of the total budget that's in surplus right now. And just to be clear to the public that's listening to this, is that any surplus at the end of the biennium will go to keep those assessments down in the next biennium. So speaking of that, we have a new person at DAS that's running the chief financial office, and they are going to start that process pretty quick. In fact, we have to probably have something out here probably by the end of the month on what we want to spend for 25, 27. So it's because we're in the price list, so people pay an assessment for us. So we have to tell the other agencies what they will be paying in 25, 27. So we've been spending a lot of time inside the office just kind of predicting what this agency is going to need come 25, 27. And one of the areas that we're going to need to increase is the Department of Justice. As you can see, we're kind of burning up 2 lawyers now. We're spending a lot more money with the Department of Justice than we've spent in the past. And that's just not because these guys take so much time, but teasing him. But it's this new area of law. You gotta remember that public meeting laws has been in Oregon forever, but nobody's regulated that except the courts. And we have very few examples of even the courts doing that. So it's kind of this, even though it's an area of law that's been around for a while, it's kind of uncharted territory. And so I think we're having a lot of questions, and people that we're talking to in trainings and stuff also have a lot of questions. So we will probably be looking at increasing the Attorney General's hours needed in the next biennium. I think that's one policy package that we're probably looking at. So anyway, going forward, I just keep kind of giving you guys this information on the number of complaints and the number of cases open. So, you can see in 22, we did 151 in 23 through 12/21. So I don't know, we probably opened a few more cases, but 202. So quite a big increase in the number of people that are using the agency for the complaint process. And that also has to do with, like I said, this new area of law with public meetings. This SEI is kind of nice. We're down to 3 school board members that refuse to file. And so they will be before you at some time, and there will be a default final order. And of course, they have hit the $5,000 mark on that. And we've been really clear with these folks that that is what they'll be facing, that they're willing to face that in front of the commission. So this is not a case, there's, the prima facie evidence is that they are required to file an SEI. I mean, this is not when we have preliminary review stuff. I mean, it's just a countdown to $5,000. So those are going to be before you guys pretty quick. But I will tell you that Jessica and David and really everybody in here has been really pushing these folks. And we sent out a letter kind of explaining the process to them. And we're down to like 3, which is really good, because at one time they were talking about a very large percentage of school board members were not going to file their SEI for last year, but you only have to do with 3 of them. By the way, there's only 4 non-filers, so I guess there's 75% of non-filers. If you look at it that way, that's a bad thing. But anyway, we keep using Gov Delivery, and you might have seen that it's really been used a lot in this recruitment process to try to get people to participate in the process. As you know, the candidates have talked to the employees, they've talked to the governor's office, and they've talked to stakeholders now. So on the 11th, they'll come in and talk to you folks, and then you'll deliberate and make a decision at that point. But I think the gov delivery has really helped with that process of just trying to get the word out to folks that this is happening and you can be part of it. I talked already about new administrative specialist too. Her name is Molly Putnam, and she will be starting on Monday. And so I was not on the interview panel, but everybody from the interview panel was very quite excited about this person coming on. And so I look forward to meeting her on the 8th. The lease agreement with Morrow is done. You can see we're almost through with the construction process. Did they get the boards in yesterday?
They did. Question.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, we still need to get some locks on the doors and things like that, but we're getting really close. And the way we did it is everything was billed through Morrow, John Morrow's business here, and then they will bill us. So we weren't paying all these different contractors. They were choosing the contractors to come in, and they've kept us informed of what's going on. So we should get a final bill from them here pretty quick on the remodel. And if you haven't walked around the office to see it, I would suggest that you do that. The offices look a little messy right now. Mine always does, but anyway, I think for the short amount of time that we were given, it's turned out really well here. And like I say, we built a couple new offices. Yeah. So, we're replacing outdated phones, mine for one of them. But so the new director will get a new phone. I think my iPhone, because we have to have an iPhone when we go to sign in. Sometimes DAS wants us to have this double verification that it is us. And so, yeah, if you ever try to work from home and you forget that silly phone, that your second one, you're kind of in trouble because that'll be the time they'll ask for the code and you can't get signed in. So, but I think mine's one of the older ones, and so it'll be replaced. And then as far as lobbyists goes, we're down to one lobbyist. As of 12/21, all the clients have filed the reports. I filed my last report and terminated, so as I won't be before you on like not getting my reports in on time for fourth quarter. And then lastly, I'd like Susan to take a little bit of time to talk about her experience. She was able to go back to Kogel's National Convention again, which is the Council of
Government Ethics Laws.
Yeah, there you go. So we are a member of Kogel, and so she was able to go to that yearly meet. And so if you just take a little time to talk about that.
Yes, so Kogel consists of government ethics officials in the United States and Canada. I attended the meeting in Kansas City, and they cover both campaign finance issues, FOIA issues, and then ethics laws and lobby filing reporting laws. Attended a number of sessions and for some insane reason lost my mind in one of the sessions and volunteered. So later this year, I will be working with a representative from the Alabama Ethics Commission and from the New York Comptroller's Office, and we will be doing a webinar session for Kogel members on the topic of innovative training delivery methods. There are the New York Conflict of Interest group, there's a guy, he should be an actor, probably is, who does a lot of really innovative YouTube videos. There are groups who've done, the ethics version of Jeopardy, game shows. We wanted to explore, are there different ways of getting the information out other than standard trainings and webinars?
TikToks. I'm sorry.
Fine, that was discussed. So we will be working with them to do that.
Yeah.
And then there was one additional thing I wanted to talk about, Ron, which is the LCs.
Yeah.
So Ron will not be here, obviously, but legislative concepts are coming up. We will have to submit sort of our initial thoughts on what legislation we might want to propose for 25-27. We have legislative concepts that we've had in the works. There were 2 from the last session that didn't get put forward. We can resubmit those. We have a list of other potential concepts, but all I would do is encourage the commissioners, if any of you have thoughts about legislation that you might like to see us propose, feel free to forward.
Yeah, and we can share our list with the commissioners too. And one other thing, the short session that's coming up here in February, we do have a bill in there. Our former chair, Nathan Sosa, was kind enough to give us one of his bills so that, you remember with public meetings, they didn't give us the ability to give advice. We can give training, but we can't give advice. But we get asked for advice a lot. And
Call
so
it a training letter.
Training letter. So it was an oversight with a lot of big legislation that goes through. You find these oversights. And Representative Sosa has been nice enough to let us have one of his bills. And so we will be working that bill through the short session.
Do you have a number back yet?
No, we haven't got the LC number yet. It hasn't been drafted yet. But I have been working with, actually, I think you told me in the last meeting, I can't remember when it has to be drafted by, but it's right now. But
Deadline is 28.
yeah, I think it's coming up right away.
Should get it.
But he has assured me that he was talking about it, they put in a big omnibus bill, just fixing a lot of things, but he said that didn't work out. And so he's given us one of his too, because he had a spot open. So it was nice of him to do that. Plus, he was one of the architects of the original bill that went through. So that will be happening in this short session. But if there's other things, basically with LCs, you just got to think about, what are we running into problems here? So if we can clarify some of these statutes a little better or whatever, sometimes we can do that through rule. But what are some problems that we have, and we'll share that information with you. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that was it. So we will share what the list we have and encourage you to submit any suggestions.
Yeah, and then just lastly, I'd really like to thank this commission, and I know not all the other commissions are listening to this, but all the other commissioners I've had over the years. It's kind of been a long journey. It seems like I came here in November 6th. There was a former director that had been around for like 16 years. And I said, boy, that was really hard to come in behind somebody 16 years. Now I've been around 17 years because I just have to have the world record. It's my nature. But so somebody has to come in. But, I'm really excited about, where this agency's at and where we can go in the future. When I came in, the legislature really was kind of squeezing the neck pretty tight. I mean, not many legislators are going to vote to get rid of the Ethics Commission, but you can get rid of money pretty easily. And there really wasn't a lot of money. And that wasn't really the legislator's fault. I really think it was some of the leadership beforehand and some of the, what I call angles they were pushing that just kind of left them in a tough spot of like arguing with the people that provide the money to this place, which is the great strategy in my mind. It's always like try to get on the same side of the table with them. And so I think the reason they gave me the job at the time was they were looking for a funding model. And I said, well, I think we got to do this. And they said, well, we tried that. I said, well, you didn't try it with me. And so they put a lot of trust in me, and we were able to get this funding model through, get us out of general fund, which is nightmare unless you're school or prison or or senior services. It's hard to get money. And the assessment model has worked very well over the years. And like I said, I think we've tried to keep that assessment down. Now this year it did go up because of this extra body of law that we're looking at. But for the most part, since assessing in, I think it was 2009 was the first assessment till now, it really hadn't risen very high. And so, anyway, I said I could do that, and it's still one of my best accomplishments. But really, probably the best accomplishment I ever had here was, I just got word from one of my former employees today that just got an ALJ, an administrative law judge position with employment. And so these people come in here, they have a lot of talent. We hire some very talented people, and then they go back out into the state, sometimes not the state, but they do great things in the state. And so really it's the people that make this, and that includes the commissioners too. You guys, I appreciate you getting these 400-page books and not throwing them back at me. Yeah, we actually do a lot of work in a short amount of time. But you know, really going forward, like I said, I'm really excited about where the commission's at, the people that are here, and the direction that it's going. And I know it's going to go places that I never even like dreamt of going. I mean, there's just so much kind of new blood coming in here with new ideas and finding better ways, like you were talking about, like delivering training. I remember one of my first hearings I went to for a budget, Betsy Johnson goes, well, can't you just send out a CD to everybody, you know, with the training on it? You know, instead of having to have people like travel around the state. And it's like, well, you know, I can maybe do one better than that. Maybe we put something on a website where, you know, we actually mail out a CD. But now it's so far beyond that. And you can see that from Stephanie's numbers, the number of people that are touching here. But even at 7,000, you know, there's roughly 200,000 public officials out there. And we just got an example this week of somebody saying, didn't even know you guys were around, you know, like, you know, and then they should know that we're around. So, you know, the people going forward, maybe we'll do a better job of getting that information out to folks. But I just really appreciate, like I say, all the time and effort and the help that all the folks that are here today have given me. And, you know, it's been a great career. I mean, I've been with the state for just under 36 years, the last 17 being here. But, you know, I wouldn't trade those for the world. I mean, you know, every time you get a director job, the first question that comes out is like, what's the next agency you want to do? Where else do you want to go? Who else do you want to run? And it's like, and I just never had that. I thought this is kind of where my talent ends. It's about as much talent as I have. And I enjoy this work. I mean, because it's always different. And we're still asking questions. We're still arguing with our lawyers on what does the law actually say? I mean, I got Amber today going, you know, are we talking about 1 or 4 here? I mean, I don't think you've met the things for 1. And, you know, I think we might have done that, but it's okay. But just having over time.
That in there.
I wouldn't decide there, but you guys knew where my position was at. But anyway, you know, and the last thing I'll say about the agency is that we are still attracting some very talented people to come here. And I really think it's because the people that are here each and every day, you know, this is for the most part, other than a few times when I'm in a bad mood, but it's a pretty joyous place to work. People can joke with each other, have fun, and then still get, you know, a giant body of work out to you folks to make decisions on. And so the products are spectacular to come out of this agency for non-lawyers and, you know, writing some of these basically legal opinions that we're coming out with. It amazes me. So good luck in the future. Everybody has my number. If anybody ever needs anything, you know, I'm around. So
Love to talk. We love to chat.
yeah, I would love to chat. Yeah. But don't call me up and say, the new director wants to do this. What do you think? Don't do that. Just, you know, yeah, we don't want to play like parents against each other. I don't need that in my life. But yeah, anybody ever needs anything, please get a hold of me.
I need you to argue with DOJ for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a couple of comments here. We'll go with Commissioner Burke first, then Commissioner Fiscum.
Wait,
Mute.
you're on mute.
You're on mute.
He doesn't know how to get, there you go.
Nope.
He's just gonna give a thumbs up.
Yeah.
It might be acceptable for him to put it in the chat. Yeah, Burke, do you want to put it in the chat and Stephanie will read it out loud?
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Fiscum, Vice Chair Fiscum.
He's on mute too.
Thank
There you
you.
go.
Just 2 quick things. I'll be brief. First of all, I appreciate the invite to suggest legislative changes that we might want to consider. My quick procedural question is, do you care if those come to you by email? Because if they do, that creates a public record. I'm comfortable doing that. Wanted to make sure you were, Ron, Susan, others. I've got some ideas and I want to get them to you somehow.
Oh, it doesn't matter whether you mail them to us or email them to us. It's always a record.
I know.
And, this isn't, behind the scenes kind of, it should be public. And so, yeah, just send an email
Okay.
with your suggestions. And like I say, then we'll probably have some kind of discussion, if not at the next meeting, about that. So.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Is Commissioner Burke still writing?
Still typing.
Mr. Chair, the substantive comment I wanted to make was that it's kind of like the military service thing. Ron, thank you for your service. It's been a privilege for me to be on the commission for 5 or 6 years, and I actually know Ron's predecessor, and there's a night and day difference. I'll call Ron Day. His previous guy was night. Ron does a great job, and I was regulated by him for a long time. So, Ron, kudos to you. Enjoy retirement as I am. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Hollister.
So I just wanted to chime in and congratulate Ron as well on his retirement. And thank you for getting me through the last year as chair. I was quite delighted to pass the baton on to our well-qualified current chair, Lindsay. But I know that I couldn't have done it without your support. And, it's always a big change for an agency when you have a leader leave after such a period of time. And I really feel confident that you've helped build a foundation for this agency that will carry on and be a legacy. And just on behalf of the commission, I wanted to thank you for that. And I also wanted to make it really clear for the record that any disagreement we had today about sub 1 is entirely the fault of the Oregon Department of Justice.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right.
All right, thank you. And you want to read Commissioner Burke's comment?
Yes, I am proud of the fact that OGEC is an agency that is an island of government health, competent, efficient, and nonpartisan. My fellow commissioners have been a cause of this, but Director Burson deserves a lot of credit for what this fine agency has become. I thank him for his body of work, and I am proud to have served with him, as I am sure many of us are.
Thank you.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, one more.
Dan Mason has a comment.
Yeah, I just want to say, Director Burson, it's been a great 7 years. Amazing to think I was like doing the math, but going 7 years from that first I think hearing where I walked out and wasn't sure I was going to be part of this group.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of a funny story. The first time I met Dad, he comes in and he goes, "I don't think you're going to blow me in." And it's like, "Oh, you'll be okay. Everybody's okay." He goes, "No, I've been told I'm not getting in here." And so, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then what was it the second time you came in? What was it? What is it? Senator Wagner said, because you were the chair, said something like, "Well, and I think Burdick, who had given you a hard time before, said, 'Welcome in.'" So it changed from, "I'm not sure I'm getting into," "Man, you were like doing great. They made you the chair." And anyway.
Yeah, even the Senate president, the future Senate president, was surprised that I think I survived as long as I did. So obviously, credit to you. And I think that we should pass a resolution to rename the Morrow Crane Building. The Burson, or at least have your own wing. I mean, as long as you've been there. But no, it's been great, and I really appreciate all your work. And I can echo Commissioner Hollister's comments on you definitely helped get me through that period of being a chair. And we've had a lot of interesting cases. I know Fiscum's kind of been in the same boat. We've had a lot of adventures and controversies, and it's been amazing. So appreciate all you've done, and excited to be a part of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, folks, any final comments? Dave Fiscum, are you just waving goodbye?
Goodbye.
Okay.
Golf course is calling.
Yeah.
Well, before we adjourn, final act is I'm using this profound power that I have in this mallet to declare this the official Ron Burson Day of OGEC.
Oh, there we go.
Close at 1:51 p.m.
There's no financial gain in that.
Thank you all.
So go ahead.
Thank you. Bye.
Right,
Bye.
we got his signature squared around.
Like.